Not every call ends by the book. These are 3 real stories from cops who saw something they'll never forget. Several years ago, I took a 911 call that still haunts me to this day. It was a family reporting that their teenage daughter was possessed. Now, I've been doing this job for over 25 years. I've heard the worst of the worst. Violence, tragedy, man's inhumanity to man. So when I hear possessed, my first thought isn't demons, it's drugs or a mental health crisis. But this was different. The caller swore up and down there was no history of drugs, no mental health issues. In the background, I could hear chaos, family members restraining the girl, and 2 people screaming at each other. I told the caller, "Tell whoever's yelling at her to stop." The caller said, "It's her." I responded, "I know it's her, but whoever's yelling back at her at the same time, tell them to stop." And the caller said again, "It's her." Both voices, I kid you not. I was clearly hearing a young girl screaming, while an adult male was yelling back, but the family swore both voices were coming from her at the same time. I couldn't understand either language. They were guttural, harsh, completely different, but there were 2 distinct voices coming from one person. Even after all these years, thinking about it makes my skin crawl. Later, my lieutenant listened to the tape. He handed it back to me, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Do you ever wonder?" Yes. Yes, I do. Number 2. One year, right around Halloween, our department started getting complaints about headstones being knocked over in the city cemetery. It became a pattern, always at night, and always around the same time of year. The chief told those of us on the midnight shift to spend our extra time near the cemetery, hoping to catch whoever was responsible. Me being a bit sneaky, I found a good hidden spot about a block away, where I had a clear view of most of the grounds. The cemetery was lit decently thanks to 2 major roads nearby, and I brought along a pair of binoculars to do some discreet surveillance. For several nights, I checked the cemetery off and on, while sticking to my usual patrol route, only driving through at the beginning and end of my shift. Then, one night, something weird happened. I scanned the cemetery like usual, and in the distance I spotted something moving. It looked like a cat, but it was walking on its hind legs. I watched it through the binoculars. Whatever it was, it moved about 10 feet between 2 headstones before I lost sight of it. Something about the way it walked just didn't sit right with me. It wasn't stumbling or unsteady. It had an almost intentional way of moving. I jumped into my patrol car and rushed over to the area, flipping on my spotlight, alley lights, and takedown lights, lit up the whole place. But when I got there, I found nothing. No animal, no person, just a single track through the dew on the grass, and it dead-ended right at a headstone. No footprints on the other side, no trail leading away, just stopped. To this day, I remember the shape of it through my binoculars, the way it moved, the outline between the graves. I've hunted all my life. I've done plenty of night hunts. I know every animal in these woods, and I've never seen anything like that before. Creepy, yeah. Unexplainable, maybe. I wonder if something was watching me instead. 3. Several years ago, my partner and I were working a case involving a missing person, a teenager believed to have been abducted from a nearby town. Around 0330 hours, we followed up on a tip that the suspect might be hiding out in an old abandoned property deep in one of the most rural, unincorporated parts of the county. It's a stretch of land we locals call the Dead Mile. No cell service, no lights, just long-forgotten homesteads and farmland reclaimed by nature. The house we were checking was marked on the map, but even then, it didn't show up on satellite imagery, like it was hidden by the trees. Or maybe the system just refused to see it. When we pulled up, the headlights caught it. A massive, looming structure that looked more like a Victorian asylum than a home. No signs of recent life, but strangely, no signs of decay either. It looked untouched, not maintained, but preserved, like something that had been waiting. We approached cautiously. Front door was half rotted and hanging open, creaking with every gust. Inside, things immediately felt off. The layout was wrong. There were walls that went halfway up and then just stopped. Hallways that narrowed to a crawl space before opening up into 2-story rooms. Doorways the size of mail slots leading to empty, cavernous chambers. Stairs leading up that looked ancient. But every time we climbed them thinking we were at the top, there'd be another set tucked into a corner or behind a hidden door. No furniture, no dust, no graffiti, just silence and a strange electric smell in the air, like ozone before a storm. We cleared the first few floors by the book, but something about the house made you feel like you were being watched, not just from behind, but above, like the house itself had eyes. Eventually, we reached what we thought was the attic. The door was narrow. So narrow, I had to turn sideways and force my way through. The moment we stepped in, everything felt heavier. The air, the silence, even the light from our flashlights looked muted, like it was being absorbed. Then we saw the walls, covered in symbols, spirals, and diagrams we couldn't make sense of. Some of it looked almost mathematical, but mixed with handprints, hundreds of them. Some small, some adult-sized. Black smudges ran from floor to ceiling like soot. At the center of one wall was a massive circle with lines etched so deep they cut into the wood. Something had been carved into the floor too, under the dust. Something that looked like a trapdoor, but there was no latch, no hinges. That was when we heard it. Footsteps. Not below us, above us, in the attic. We both froze. There was no more up to go. We'd already reached the top. My partner looked at me and whispered, "Did we miss another staircase?" I shook my head. The steps were slow, deliberate, heavy, but not clumsy, not pacing, approaching. We raised our weapons and called out. No response. The steps stopped right above us. Then we heard the boards creak, like someone was kneeling directly over our heads. I'll be honest, I've been in some rough situations in this job, but at that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pure, primitive fear. We decided not to stick around and tried to explain the impossible. We cleared the attic quickly, found nothing alive, and bolted out of that house as fast as we could without admitting we were running. Outside, everything was quiet, but the house looked different, bigger, like it had grown taller while we were inside. We filed the report, of course, wrote it up as cleared, no contact. Officially, the suspect was never found in that area, but I kept digging afterwards, checked property records. The house wasn't listed, Not in any county database, not even historical registries. No permit, no builder, no owner. The foundation was never even poured. It wasn't built, it was placed there. And to this day, when I close my eyes, I still hear the footsteps above me. In a room that shouldn't have existed. In a house that shouldn't have been there. Those were 3 true stories from the thin blue line. Strange, disturbing, and 100% real. If you want more true scary content, hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, stay alert. You never know what's waiting on the other end of the call.